Okay, everybody. So this video is not going to be posted for a long time, but I feel that it's required that I break down everything that is currently happening and the lead up to everything that's going on. So I will try to be as accurate as I possibly can and give the most detail possible in regards to the situation. So let's back up and backtrace, let's say about a year and a half from now. So a year and a half ago, me and Sonja were in a relationship. At that time, we were together for around 6 years. It was about the beginning, or it was just starting the 6 years, okay? During that period of time, she was working at the Waterloo Casino, and I was working at Rouen still, where I'm currently working now. I'm not entirely sure how and where she met the current guy that she's with. His name is Bo, but you can just call him Bew, however you want to say it out. But they met, I'm assuming, when he was working at that casino before he transferred over to the casino in Tama. And they started talking and eventually started dating, while at the same time she was with me. While I was ignorant of the whole situation, she was currently having a relationship with another man. Well, all of that came crashing down around, I would say, I think it was around January. I'm not sure about the exact date. But one day when I was at home, he came to the house and he basically said, hey, I found out from one of my friends that Sonja slept with another worker at the casino who was in the army. They slept together, and I don't want to be in a relationship with Sonja anymore, so I'm here to give her back her clothing that she left off at her house. So apparently while I was working, she would go over to his house, sleep with him, spend time with him, blah, 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 and then head to work in the morning. She was doing all this while I worked at night. Since I worked night shift, she would wake up in the morning, take Anna to daycare, and then go off to be with him during the day before going to work. She kept that fabrication, she kept that lie going up until he showed up at the house. At that time, I was ignorant, and I still wanted to continue to believe her, so we continued our relationship from that point for about a month or so. I think it was about a month and a half. So during that month and a half, Bo must have gotten pretty attached to Sonja, must have fallen in love or whatever it was, because even though after either that or he was just believing her bullshit. She must have said something that, oh, I never slept with him, blah, 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 and me and Anthony weren't together, blah, 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 and he must have believed it, so they continued to talk. Well, about a month and a half later, I was coming home from work one day, and I caught her at his house. I freaked out, went home, called her on the phone, fucking yelled at her, screamed at her. I told her to get the fuck out of the house. She instantly ran back home. In that process, I was fucking dumping her clothes out, throwing all of her shit on the ground, and I basically gave up after that point. I told her to get the fuck out of my house, leave, and go. So she ultimately grabbed all her clothes and moved in with him. Since then, she's moved in him. At first, when she first left, everything was fine. Everything was civil. She was continuing to work. And that proceeded for about a month and a half, I would say. Maybe about 2 months. She was working normally. She would go to work. We would interact barely. But during that time that she was working, I don't know if it was because she didn't want to be a mother or what the fuck was going on. But, I'm not used to talking this much. My throat's starting to hurt. I can tell that I don't talk to many people. My fucking voice is hurting me already. But let me continue. So during the 2-month period that she was working and she was out of my house, she wouldn't spend time with Ander at all. She wouldn't go and interact with Ander. it was maybe 1 day, 2 days a week. Maybe not even that. Sometimes it was 1 day a week. She would come and see Ander. This was even though she was living over at his house. Now, during that time, when she first moved out, I didn't want Ander to go over to his house. So for about a week or so after she first moved out, I refused to let Ander go over there. Now, after I realized that we kind of needed Sonja to watch Ander, and it was kind of impossible for me and my mom to watch him by ourselves. This was all before my sisters came into the situation, but still. Since my mom had to work during the day and I had to work at nighttime, obviously we had daycare, but during the weekends it was hard because my mom was having to work late night, and the only person that was able to watch him was Russell, which is my mom's husband, and sometimes he couldn't even watch him that well because he had to work in the morning as well, and Ander was such a handful. Well, I finally gave up, and I came to the decision that, yes, Sonja, you can watch Ander at his house. I don't care. It's whatever. I pretty much gave up on my resolve and folded to the fact that we needed Sonja to watch Ander because we had nobody else. Well, she started watching him. Actually, no. Continuing for those 2 months, even though I was telling Sonja that he was able to go over to the house whenever, and she was able to pick him up from my mom's house whenever she wanted to. She didn't do that. She never watched him. So that continued for 2 straight months. Then the coronavirus happened. The Tama Casino laid off all their workers, and basically Sonja became jobless. Now this is where everything goes downhill to the current day of what's happening right now. Once she lost her job to the coronavirus, Sonja took it upon herself to start watching Ander more. Now that she had the free time, and she wasn't doing anything, she wasn't making an income because she didn't collect unemployment for about 3 weeks after she lost her job. She was basically moneyless, jobless, and didn't have anything to do. So that's when she decided to watch Ander. Now, that's where the problem started. During the 2 months that me and my mom were watching Ander got into a good routine to where he was going to daycare, he was interacting with me and my mom, he was having fun, he was doing a lot of activities during the day, even during the weekend that I was at work and my mom was working too. He would still interact and have a blast. My mom set up a room for him in her house with a bunch of toys, a bunch of things, and we played with him, spent time with him, and he was having fun, so we got into a routine. So eventually, during this 2-month period, he got used to and accustomed to the fact that his mom wasn't in his life. Now, when Sonja lost her job, Sonja didn't, during that time that she was working, she didn't invest in any kind of anything with Ander. Nothing whatsoever. There was nothing in that house that would help a child. And Sonja, being a parent that doesn't really know, even though Ander is 5 years old, she is not adept when it comes to what Ander needs and what he needs to be successful as a child. And since Sonja, it's not just Sonja doesn't know, it's more the fact that Sonja just, I don't know how to say it. It's like she doesn't care. She didn't, if things weren't going her way, if she wasn't able to handle a problem, she would ignore it. She wouldn't deal with it. So let's say Ander was having a temper tantrum. In that situation, she would just ignore it, wouldn't scold him, wouldn't punish him, nothing. And if he did something bad, let's say, I don't know, dump the trash can over, she would just pick it up, and she would just pick the trash can up and wouldn't scold Ander. So she wasn't only a bad parent, she was also incapable of learning to be a better parent. So when she started watching Ander after the coronavirus, those problems started to heavily affect Ander severely. to the point to where he started having massive freakouts, massive tantrums. He was starting to get kicked out of daycare. And Sonja would just basically plop him, since Andrew didn't have anything in the room besides, I think at that time he only had a TV and a bed. She would basically plop him in front of the TV, and he would watch his YouTube, and that's it. That's all he did at Sonja's house. Anytime he tried to interact with his mom, she wouldn't interact with him. She didn't want to be a parent. She didn't want to spend time with Andrew. She didn't want to do anything productive with Andrew. Nothing like that whatsoever. So Andrew, in retaliation, started freaking out because he soon realized that, hey, if I freak out, if I throw a tantrum, I can get a reaction out of my mom. So that's what he did. But the reaction that he wanted wasn't the reaction that he got. He just got more scolding and more yelling from Sonja, and she still continued to not pay him any attention. So, me and my mom basically came to the conclusion that Sonja is incapable of change. So we decided to give Andrew all the love and attention and all the freedoms that Sonja wasn't giving him. Well, I would say about a month into the coronavirus of her not having a job, Andrew, my mom took Andrew up to the Great Wolf's Lodge up in Minnesota, and the first day that they got there, they went swimming, and my mom noticed a bite mark on Andrew's arm. When asked Andrew said, "My mommy bit me because I was being bad." Those were his exact words. My mom, infuriated at the fact that Sonja would bite her own child, and I mean, it was bad enough to leave a pretty big bruise. Actually, it was like you could see the indents of her teeth in Andrew's arm, enough to pretty much draw blood. So my mom contacted DHS. DHS got involved, and DHS decision was to hire a company. It's like a separate company that works with DHS. And what happens is a person comes in and monitors Sonja and Andrew during every single day for 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks after DHS got involved, I can just stop yawning. I'm talking too much, not breathing. Once DHS got involved, a person started going out to Sonja's house every single day, 7 days a week, and basically monitored Sonja and Andrew. Basically what it was is, I mean, even the DHS worker had told me that Andrew is a completely different person compared to when he's at my house. If I have to go, I can't go into full detail, but basically he was a demon at Sonja's place. And it all revolves around, like I said earlier, Sonja's inability and lack and don't care. So during the 2 weeks, the lady tried to instill parenting techniques into Sonja. Whether she was receiving them or not is up for debate, honestly. But for what I've experienced, even after the lady coming out, it hasn't really changed Andrew at all. But let me continue with the story. So 2 weeks go by, and the lady made a decision and talked to the DHS worker and said, "Hey, I want to continue to go out for another 2 weeks. Can we extend it for 2 more weeks? Because I still want Sonja to need help." So the guy was like, "Okay, whatever." So basically, Sonja did that with the DHS worker for a month. And even after the 1 month, DHS came to the decision that they were going to transfer this case to child custody, or I forgot the name of it, but it basically involves the court system. And now the court is going to have somebody from the court system, I'm not sure who, we figure that out in a few days, since we have to go to court for it. But on the 11th of August, somebody will come out and basically every day, or actually twice a week for the next 3 months, do the same thing that the DHS worker did, is interact with Andrew and Sonja and help Sonja be a better parent. Well, that's the end of that side, because like I said, on the 11th of August, we have a court date set to where we're going to have to appear to court, and all this is going to go down. But now, fuck me, stop yawning, god damn it. So, about a month and a half ago, I was at my mom's bar at her work, and I got a letter in the mail from Child Protect, or Child, what the fuck is it called? I can't think of the name. Child Support, yeah, Child Support. I got a letter from them saying that I needed to pay child support to Sonja. That completely pissed me off, because what happened? How I can explain this is, during the 2 months that Sonja wasn't interacting with Ander, after she lost her job and wasn't making that much money, she took it upon herself to basically think, oh, now that I'm watching Ander more, now that I have Ander a lot more often, I'm going to try and get child support out of Anthony. Basically, ignoring the fact that she didn't watch Ander for 2 months, and it was me and my mom watching Ander by ourselves. She thinks that it was okay to try and request child support from me, which completely pissed me the fuck off. And at that moment, that's when I completely gave up on Sonja, and that's when I said, okay, I'm done with this shit. We're going to take this to fucking to the court system, and I'm going to go for fucking child custody. And that brings us to the current day. I hired an attorney, paid the $2,500 to get an attorney, and basically I have been shooting for primary custody of Ander. Not only at the fact that I don't believe it's fair that Sonja tried to request child support, but after figuring out what happened today, I honestly don't think Sonja is capable of being a parent to Ander. And it is questionable at best if she will ever become a parent worthy enough to raise a child. I mean, just with the interactions alone, DHS have already told me that they are on the lady that went and saw Ander every day for a month is completely on my side. I have 5 people that have interacted with Ander, 2 being from the daycare center, 1 being from my mom, 1 being from the DHS worker, and another one from my mom's work, who have interacted with Ander practically every single day. If not every day, like at least 3 days a week. And have experienced the difference. As an example, when Sonja would drop Ander off at daycare, she would basically throw Ander into the room, walk away, close the door, and leave. Right away as soon as they open, 6 a.m. She wouldn't pick him up until 6 p.m., so 12 straight hours at daycare. And even after picking him up, she would go home and Ander would watch his TV until 9 o'clock, where she would get him to bed. And then that would be the consistency of his weekly routine with Sonja. With me, when Ander comes to my house, I would take him to daycare, yes. Thursdays, or during my weekends that I have off, I would take him to daycare Thursday and Friday. But I would pick Ander, I would take him to daycare around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. I would pick him up maybe about 4. So he would only be there for about 5 hours, 6 hours at most. After that, we would play together. We would play games. We would wrestle on the bed. We would play with his toys. As an example, I took him fishing 2 weeks ago. We went down to one of the lakes in Eldora, which is like 5-10 miles away from where I live. I bought bait, I bought tackle, we went fishing, we caught a fish. Ander had a lot of fun, had a blast. When we go to my mom's, we go swimming, we play in the pool, we play with all the toys at my mom's house. If he's in the room, I go in the room and I sit with him, and we sit together and we watch TV together. I interact with Ander. So he doesn't act out with me at all. Yes, there's times where I do play my video games and Ander will be in his room. and he'll watch his TV show. And sometimes I get engrossed with the video games, and sometimes I don't interact with Ander as much as I should. Yes, I will admit that. I will admit that that is a part of something that I'm trying to work on, and I'm trying to better and improve on. But at the same time, it's not to the extent that Sonja's lack of attention to Ander. It far, way far exceeds anything that I've ever done. If you were to equate this, I play with Ander. In one day of playing with Ander and spending time with him and doing activities with him, it equates to a full week of time spent with Sonja. And I can tell you that with confidence because of the people that have spoken to me and in the way that Ander speaks to me. I mean, he comes to my house with so much energy, and the reason why is because he has so much energy at his mom's house that he's built up throughout the week that he doesn't get to expend. So during the times that he's with me, it explodes. And he fucking uses all that energy and has as much fun as he can. And I can tell that he doesn't want to go back to his mom's house because he has so much fun with us that what he's doing is he's trying to exert as much fun out of the days that he has with me and my mom as he can, because he knows the hell that he's going to be experiencing with at his mom's house, because he's not going to be doing anything. So he tries to have as much fun as possible and tries to interact with me and my mom as much as possible. And I enjoy it, but sometimes it gets a little tiring. So that's why there is times where I don't play with him, and sometimes I get on my game and I play my video games. I try to stick that during the nighttime after he goes to bed, but there is some times where I will play the game before he goes to sleep. But still. Now, the custody case has gotten to the point to where the other day I was issued temporary primary custody of Ander, and Sonja was required to pay child support. Now, I don't know exactly what happened, but as soon as I gave that information to Sonja, she must have gotten a bunch of money from her family and hired an attorney to where she now has an attorney. I don't know the full details yet, but just talking to my attorney yesterday, this is what the judge has said. And it basically, they canceled the order and are now, what does she say? They are now doing a continuation on the case. And I'm thinking that's to give Sonja's attorney enough time to get the information and evidence to get Sonja a case. And I'm not gonna go into full details about why I believe that I will win, because I know the moment that I say this information, it's going to be. I mean, I know the moment I upload this to YouTube, there's going to be somebody in Sonja's family that is going to see this, and they're going to try and create a countermeasure to a plan. So that's why I'm not going to go into full detail about what exactly we're doing and the countermeasures, because that's all between me and my attorney. But I wanted to give you guys a basic generalization of what the current situation stands as it is. So right now, there's a continuation on the case. No date has been given on exactly when the next court hearing will be. All I know is on the 11th, it involves the DHS case, and that's when they're going to implement the person to come in and monitor Sonja and Ander at her house during the 3 months time. And what the guy was saying at DHS when I was speaking to him on the phone, he said that, what did he say? He said after the 3 months they're going to do an evaluation, and if they decide they want to continue to go further, they will extend another 3 months, and that could continue for, I mean, the guy said he had a couple that was being monitored for 12 years. So it could continue indefinitely until Ander graduates from high school. But I'm not worried about it, because even the DHS worker said that since everything on my side is pretty fine, they haven't experienced any issues on my side. The worker that's going to be coming in, yes, they might need to come in maybe once a month or so to come and see Anders' interaction with me and him. But for the most part, it's going to be focused solely around Sonja, because Sonja is the one with the problem. And she's the one with the greatest help, the greatest need of help. And now, all this will change if I get primary custody of Anders. But since this case is going to continue to drag on, I'm happy at the fact that somebody's going to go in there and monitor him for a number of different reasons. But one of the reasons is because Sonja is going to be a part of Anders' life regardless for the next 15 years. And I'm not going to deprive Anders of Sonja, his own mother. I'm not going to do that, because if I did that, I would look like a shithole person. So I want Anders to have a relationship with his mom, but I want her to get help to be able to be a better parent, because that's ultimately what she needs. And if she doesn't get that, I feel like she's going to continue with this bad habit of hers. And once she returns to work, I have a very strong feeling that she's going to continue to go back to the way that she was in the future, to where she wasn't seeing Anders at all. Now, depending on the person who sees this video, who has interacted with me and Sonja, you don't necessarily have to believe my words. I'm not asking you to. I'm not telling you have to believe what I say to be 100% accurate. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that I am giving the most accurate point of view from our side of the situation and what I've experienced and what my other friends and family member have experienced when it comes to Sonja and me and the interactions between me and her and Anders. That's all I'm here to do. I want people to know that what I'm saying is the most accurate information that I can provide for you. I have no reason to lie, but like I said, that's up to your discretion whether you want to believe my words or not. What else? Trying to think. Ultimately, if it comes down to it, I mean, I'm going to go for primary custody. No doubt about it. That's exactly what I'm going to go for. And I will continue to shoot for primary custody no matter what. If I have to give up on child support, I do not mind at all. I have no problems giving up on child support, because I don't need child support to take care of Anders. I have enough family and enough financial income to be able to raise Anders in a productive way to where he will never have to worry about a single thing in his life without needing child support from Sonja. And if I have to give that up for Sonja to agree to my terms, then I will do that. I don't mind doing that. But for the sake of Anders, I feel like it's in Anders' best interest to be around people who are going to be able to take care of him. Because what happens in a situation, for an example, let's say something happens between Sonja's current boyfriend, that they break it off or something like that. What happens if she becomes homeless? What is Sonja going to do? If Sonja has primary custody of Anders, what is she going to do? Where's she going to go? She has no family in Iowa. Her family is spread out between Utah and Florida. Yes, they can help her financially, but at that moment she gets kicked out, where is she going to go? If she doesn't have any money on her, who is she going to rely on? Obviously, it's me. Obviously, it's going to be me. There's no one else. Unless she has friends that are willing to take her in, or unless she goes sleep with another man and she gets in a relationship with them, it's going to have to rely on me. So, why give Sonja primary custody if she's in such a terminal situation? On the other hand, if I had primary custody, let's say, I don't know, since I'm a truck driver, let's say I get stuck on the road. let's say I break down in the middle of the night and I get stuck out on the road because 5 of my tires blew or the transmission went out and I can't make it back to Iowa. I have my mom's friends that I'm very acquainted with, my 2 sisters, my mom's husband, my mom's co-workers, the daycare, what else? Yeah, I have probably at least 30 people that can help me out that are trusted, that could watch Ander until I make it home. Any situation that could ever happen in my life, unless I literally die, there is no situation that could come up in my life where Ander couldn't be taken care of. He would never be put in a situation to where he wouldn't have enough food, he wouldn't have the clothing he needs, he wouldn't be able to take a bath, and he wouldn't have shelter. There's no situation on this planet, unless the world ends, World War III happens, or I die, that he wouldn't be able to. Actually, even if I died, my family would still take care of him. So even that's a guarantee. So there's no situation, unless, like I said, the world ends or World War III, that will happen to where Ander will be affected in any way, shape, or form. While at the same time, we have multiple people that could give him the love and affection that he needs to grow to be a thriving young man. As an example, actually, let me backtrack because I just remembered something. During the time that Sonja started watching Ander, she stopped taking him to daycare, and when she stopped taking him to daycare, and Ander was all alone in the house, not interacting with Sonja because she wouldn't interact with him, like I said, he would start freaking out more, which created anger in his mind. So when she would take him back to daycare, maybe 3 days later, he would end up getting kicked out of daycare because of his anger. Because the anger that he built up from the days with his mom. So, getting kicked out of daycare multiple times, Sonja just stopped taking him to daycare. Now, I was still taking him to daycare during my days, and if I had him more than 2 days a week, or 3 days a week, I would take him as much as possible. As much as I possibly could. But with this child thing, with this custody thing going on, and Sonja becoming bitter about the whole experience, she stopped taking him to daycare. So it's put me in a situation to where I feel so bad for Ander, because I know when he's at his mom's house, he's not doing anything. I mean, unless Sonja has bought him a shit ton of stuff recently, he doesn't have anything over there. And when he comes over to our place, my God, people, he is like even last week when he came over, when I got him, he played, he helped me load up my house, because I'm currently moving to a new house in my town, like 3-4 blocks away, and he helped me move things. He was picking up boxes and he was putting them in the garage. We went over to my mom's house, and one of his friends came over. That my mom's really good friend. My mom's friend came over with her daughter, and her and Ander played in the pool for literally 2.5 hours. And even after the 2.5 hours, he was still full of energy. So around 7 o'clock at night, we come home, and he's like, "Daddy, I want to play." So I said, "Okay." I hope to God, I hope after playing with him, he will burn off this energy. But nope, we played for like an hour and a half before I gave him a bath. And then as soon as I put him down for bed, 9 o'clock, 5 minutes later, he was out like a light. And then he slept for like 12 hours until the next day. So he was full of energy, and we had a lot of fun. And that's why I'm saying this, is because I feel like him experiencing the time with me and my mom is more valuable to his experience as a 5-year-old boy than anything else. And I just feel like he's not getting that at Sonja's. And the only reason I'm making this video is, for one, I found out that Sonja made a TikTok account and is basically creating falsehoods. I didn't watch any of the videos, but basically when my mom found out from one of her coworkers and started watching the videos. It is pretty bad, pretty terrible. The amount of lies that she has created, the amount of, how do I say this? The amount of lies that she has created in these videos is staggering. Is staggering beyond belief. I mean, she's created her own world in TikTok. I mean, just going off of what my mom said of what the videos she's watched, she has literally created a whole other dimension where she is the superior person with no faults, with no issues, with no problems. She's never done any wrongs. She has never done anything bad in her life. She has never done anything terrible. Nothing. It is like that fucking, it's like she has created her own universe in TikTok. And apparently she makes like 20 videos a day, apparently. So the amount of, like, just from what my mom was telling me, she said on TikTok yesterday that my baby daddy, we had court today and my baby daddy didn't show up. Well, the court wasn't until the 6th, and it was through affidavit only. I don't have to appear in court, neither does she. The only people that appear, nobody has to appear in court, even our lawyers. The only people that have to appear in court are the affidavits. It's the piece of paper, and then the judge creates a temporary order at that point. Yeah. The only reason she went to court today is because the judge made a mistake on the paperwork, because he thought that me and Sonja were on agreement of the temporary custody. So the judge created the order, giving me the primary, primary custody of Vander, which was his mistake. Which I understand that, but that has no relevance to what I was about to say. So, yeah, she's created a whole different universe in her mind, and I mean, the people that I don't know how many people watch the videos, but they must believe what she has to say. I mean, I hope not, but that's why I wanted to create this video, to try and give my perspective on the whole situation. So hopefully the people that watch my video will get a better understanding of the current situation that we're in. So basically, me and Sonja are no longer together. We haven't been together for about 8 months now. Yeah. I think that's about it. That's about all I gotta say. That's the current update of the whole situation. I'm just working, taking care of Vander, and dealing with move-in in today or tomorrow, and then getting Vander in kindergarten. That happens, I believe, the 21st. So, yeah, if anything else happens, guys, I'll definitely let you know. And hopefully this shares some light on my whole situation. If you want to look up her videos, for anybody who's interested, I'm not entirely sure the name, but I'll give a link down in the description, just so you can go look. Also, I must point out one thing too. I must say one other thing. All the videos that she has created on her TikTok, every single one, we have already downloaded them, and we have already saved them on multiple devices. My computer's going to be one tonight, multiple phones, and yeah. So any of the information that if she does decide to delete her whole TikTok thing and erase all the videos, it doesn't matter, because we have it all. So, yep, that's all I wanted to say, guys. I hope you have a nice night, and I will talk to you all later. Stay beautiful, everyone.